All right, there's something I need to bring to your attention. Dealing with some important ass shit. I know everyone's still panicking about the tariffs, etc. China just hit America with, what was it, 85% tariffs? And I'm sitting here questioning how in the world they're going to be able to do that shit when we already can't even do business with China in the first place. That's my question. You're tariffing products that can't even go in to America to begin with. In order to even do business with China, you have to move your company over to China and then give up your intellectual property. Which is why they were able to, well, that and the fact that we were financing them for the last, I don't know how many years, even before I was fucking born. We've paying these people and they're stealing our shit. We're building companies over there for cheaper labor, and they have high-ass tariffs on us. It did increase those high-ass tariffs on U.S. goods, which is why we haven't really been doing business over there in the first place. Meanwhile, they're freely trading with us, right? Whether you want to agree with me on that or not, that's what's been going on. So Trump retaliated, and when I say retaliated, I mean he put his fucking foot down. So he just gave them 125% back. Because let's just be blunt here, China's being fucking disrespectful. We built their country. We built their country. So I'm going to leave this in the description right here. So you can read that on, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. I also came into some news that Amazon is now canceling orders from China after the steep tariffs. Plans a $15 billion U.S. expansion. That's what's going on right now. What we as the American people need to do is hold the fucking line. That's what we need to do. I'm just going to be honest. We already have 50 other world leaders that are coming back to the renegotiation table because they don't like the tariffs. And Trump is not having it. We're leveraging right now. We're trying to get more out of this. These countries are going to pay us back for all the shit that they stole from us. It's just that fucking simple. But, hey, people are ill-informed. I'm just going to be honest here. You have all the propaganda going on. And it's really because these big corporations and banks, etc., are losing their fucking money. And they're trying to get you to lose your mind so that you can fight for the corporations and banks that's been stealing your shit and essentially overinflating the market. That's a whole nother conversation. This is what I really wanted to get into. Because we're discussing Candace Owens going against MAGA, which is a misleading title, but I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to give my thoughts on this shit.
Finance campaign to convince people that I've somehow changed my opinion to accommodate the left. TikTokers are getting in on it. We're getting phone calls from the press every single day. Like everybody's working on an article about Candace Owens pivoting. Everyone from obviously House and Habit's Jessica Reed Krause, who we're going to talk about a little bit because she was interestingly enough with none other than Bibi Netanyahu yesterday at the White House. Also, of course, The Cut, that woman had the same kind of an article, hit piece about me to NBC, all using the exact same language. And like I said, working on the same sort of story about me.
Well, that by itself is a perfect sign of propaganda. Something happens, a bunch of news articles come out, they twist the story, and then they just continue to pump the shit, and they all say the same fucking shit. I believe they call it Operation Mockingbird. That's some CIA shit, but most people be like, that's conspiracy, even though it's literally happening before our eyes. I see it every fucking day. Everybody I speak to repeats the same, well, hell, about the tariffs, for example. People I know, people in my family, we discussed this, and it's the same shit. Some shit I heard someone else say. word for word, bar for bar. Almost like they're all one mind. They speak the exact same words, and that's how I know you're not doing any fucking research. I've been discussing this whole ordeal already about what's going to happen. I said that it was going to take some time, but eventually in the long run, shit is going to work out, and everybody's freaking out about the immediate effect of the tariffs. What's going to happen is, and it's already happening, companies are going to come to America. They're going to build their factories, etc. here on American soil. We're going to end up becoming a self-producing nation again. The shit that NAFTA destroyed, we're about to get back. That's what's going to happen. You just gotta be patient. I'm just being blunt here. And what's ironic is I don't see how people were complaining. Well, I don't see how people were not complaining during the Biden era when our land was literally getting sold from under our feet to globalists and other countries, China, Chinese billionaires and shit. No one said nothing about that. But now when we're making steps to bring shit back, we're getting this. And what's ironic is that Democrats in the past, in the 90s, were essentially saying the shit that Republicans are saying now. That we need to do something about the world trade deficit that we've been in for the longest. Now that Trump's doing something, everybody's throwing a fucking fit. But anyway, let's get back to this shit. I'm going off the rails right now.
But actually, I haven't changed any of my opinions. Obviously, if you guys are listening to the show, I have the same perspectives on BLM, the Me Too movement. I've broadened those opinions. Vaccines haven't changed. Same person. So I'm wondering where exactly did the pivot occur? And I'm thinking about it. I'm open to the idea of it. And like I said, I did do Howie Mandel's show the other day, as well as Jillian Michaels. And I'll show you some of those fun clips. And I realized at least this. I've definitely changed. I think my positions have not moved, but I'm completely done. I mean, totally and completely done with the left versus right game in politics, because it is now just so abundantly obvious that there is something much more sinister that is happening. When we elect politicians, they're on a platform, they say this, they perform, they promise us, this is going to be the mandate, I'm going to clean up DC. And then we send them to DC and something happens. Something magical happens. And suddenly that magical thing is that really nothing they said they were going to do happens. The world really is becoming a stage. Maybe it always was a stage. And like I said, it doesn't matter who you elect. So no, there's no pivot. Like, I wish it was Kamala Harris. No, okay? It does not matter who you elect. It seems to be the same thing that we see over and over again. Politicians selling out the people that voted for them. I think Dave Smith, you guys know I love The Problem with Dave Smith is his podcast, summed it up really well when he looked at just the last 30 days of politics and said this. Take a listen.
I couldn't imagine whoever else the director of national intelligence was going to be being better than Tulsi Gabbard. I couldn't imagine whoever the head of the FBI being better than Kash Patel, or whoever the health secretary being better than Bobby Kennedy. But at the same time, you know, you got Tulsi, cheering on leveling an apartment building. Literally, as they're saying to him, "Hey, we traced Missile Guy back to his apartment building where his girlfriend lives. So we leveled the building," and she's sending like thumbs up emojis, and saying, "Job well done, team." Every time I hear from Kash Patel lately, it's never about the criminals in government anymore. This guy was on a goddamn media tour for 2 years. Everything he ever said was that there's all these criminals in the FBI. We got to get these people who committed all these heinous crimes against our republic. Not talking about that anymore today. Now he's talking about bringing down drug dealers and sex traffickers. It's like, okay, but that's not what you were saying before. Then Bobby Kennedy is out fighting the real health crisis, which is anti-Semitism. So I'm just
I got a lot to say about that. So first things first, what day is it today? Trump came into office, I believe it was January the 20th. It is April 9th now. So 3 to 4 months. You just being impatient, bro. I'm gonna be honest here. When discussing the criminals, first things first, the sex traffickers and the people who've done heinous crimes against our republic are linked. That's the first thing. All right. I don't expect Kash Patel to come out and tell us every little fucking detail that he's doing behind the scenes to deal with this shit. Now, if he's doing it and if he's not doing it, that could be a different conversation. I personally want to see some arrests right now as we speak. I'm not even going to lie about this shit. I believe that we have enough detail, but I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to see what's going on. If a year goes by and we still haven't had any arrests, then I'm going to be fucking pissed. But 3 months? Come on, man. 3 months. 3 to 4 months. And there's one thing I know when dealing with enemies is that you don't want to tell them. You don't want to broadcast. Why would he go online or on a show and tell the people that he's planning to arrest what he's going to do to arrest him? People that have access to millions and even billions of dollars, they've been stealing taxpayer dollars. People flooding, like leaving the country and shit. Now we're going to have a damn flight risk and all types of other shit. It's best to just keep quiet and do it behind the scenes and then reveal it all in the end. That'll be a better game plan. Now, RFK is the alarming part to me. Because when he was talking about the anti-Semitism, apparently, because I haven't seen any news about this, I haven't found any bills about this, I haven't seen anything on the Congress floor dealing with this issue. But if he's really trying to pass anti-Semitism laws or laws that go against anti-Semitism, that's going to be a huge breach of constitutional free speech and freedom of press. Because if there's one thing I do know is that there is a cabal in Israel. There's no lie about it. They own everything. It's not even a fucking secret. And for him to cave to their demands would be something to keep your eye out for. Because these are the same types of people that killed JFK. So if they got RFK's nuts, that could be a huge fucking problem. It really is. I think in a previous video, because we always want to use the Bible and everything to defend Israel, but I'm not going to go into the whole details about Zionists. But there's one thing I do know that's been happening recently is that they've been trying to push laws to make it to where preaching about Jesus or preaching Christianity is illegal in Israel. That anybody that read the book of Revelations or just know that they should know that's a huge thing. And then for people to not even be allowed to talk about it or even discuss this cabal that's going on in Israel, or else, you face heinous backlash, and for some people, the threat of death. That alone is self-explanatory. So RFK Jr. doing that shit, that's a red flag. I'm not as worried about Kash Patel. I know in the past I said I wanted arrest now, but I realized I was being impatient. But the RFK shit is the alarming thing. But I'm going to continue to play the video.
Saying, looking around the room, looking around the administration at this point, I think we got the positives out of Donald Trump that we would get. But man, this all just points in such a bad direction, and it's disappointing. It's just really disappointing. It's I knew I would be disappointed, but it is on the level of a Greek tragedy that these.
I'm not really understanding what did they expect to happen within the first 100 days.
Oh well, he's saying the same thing. I watched the Candace part because I remember when somewhere in this video. I got bits and pieces. I ain't sit and watch the whole thing. I'll leave this video in the description as well. But Candace was pointing out RFK promoting mRNA vaccination. The same guy that wrote the book on why vaccines are unhealthy
And they're
is promoting the very shit that killed, I don't know how many people at this point. I lost count. I mean, it was a huge count to begin with, but I lost count of how many cases I pulled up. I've been doing this shit for 5 years now.
just it all up.
Yeah, you know what? Now that Dave Smith puts it that way, I feel like maybe it's not us that's pivoting, but it's them. Like there's just some magic pivot that happens when you get to DC. And to build on that, may I ask the question, who the heck is controlling RFK Jr.'s X account? Am I allowed to ask that question? Because I quite literally...
I'm not familiar with what's going on with RFK Jr.'s X account, but let's continue. Because one thing that they're talking about is they're talking about rhetoric. I'm looking for results. When we start looking at results, when we start looking at immigration, we start looking at tariffs, when we start looking at DEI, when we start looking at DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and how they continue to trudge forward, regardless of the fact that people are out there protesting against Tesla. And I don't know if Candace Owens is not paying attention to everything that's happening, or maybe she just is using her spirituality to continue to communicate how she's disappointed in people that consider themselves conservatives, but you don't have to agree with every single conservative in order to still consider yourself conservative. Because I know that she doesn't necessarily care for Ben Shapiro and people like that, and she's been edging for debate and things like that. But the point is that I don't see her saying that she's no longer conservative. Let me hear a little bit more, and then we'll go from there. We're going to discuss this on After Hours.
Was so inspired by this man. So many people were, obviously, because he was a major piece of the puzzle in terms of bringing people to the center, which needed to happen. It needed to happen that all of us were brought towards the center so that we could recognize where the real evil exists, right? And it's not left versus right. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's whatever the hell is going on in DC versus the rest of us. And so RFK Jr. emerges as this candidate, and the moms, oh my gosh, did he seize us, right? Because I was so inspired by his vaccine work. I quite literally chose not to vaccinate my children. No regrets on that, by the way. We'll never discount him for that. I will never be petty and say that he did not do all of that work that he did before.
Yeah, no, for real. I would never vaccinate my children either if I ever have any. The way it's looking, that's not likely. But if I did, I wouldn't be vaccinating them. I'm also not making them wear these fucking whack ass shoes. Like modern day footwear destroyed my feet, and I'm trying to get my shit back. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even gonna discuss all the ankle injuries and shit I dealt with. I stopped wearing regular shoes and switched, and I haven't had any problems since. That's a whole nother rhetoric. All I'm saying is your clothes, your food, those vaccines, your medicine is killing you. That's it. It is killing you, and it's a slow burner. People are dying way sooner than they should be.
Went into DC, a magic land where everybody changes their opinions. So inspired was I by RFK Jr. that I actually picked up the baton and did an entire podcast series called A Shot in the Dark, right? Because I wanted to spread the news, spread the knowledge.
I'm going to let this play. I want to see something here.
Parents could step away from these delusions of fear. You know, the drug cartel that I speak about that exists in DC. And it was his organization, Children's Health Defense, that authored a book that was entitled The Measles Book, okay? The Measles Book, which set out to prove that healthcare had been traded in for profit. That's essentially what the thesis of this book was. And this is a direct quote from that book. Ready? Because this is going to be amazing when you look at his tweet today or what he tweeted yesterday. He wrote, as a forward, Why have the benefits of the measles vaccines been exaggerated and the risks understated? Because these vaccines are a cash cow for an industry that long ago left behind the legacy of true public health pioneers like Dr. Jonas Salk.
Well, that's a common thing with just about every fucking disease that we get vaccinated for. The actual effects of the virus itself are way lower than we know, but it gets exaggerated just to scare you into taking that needle in your arm. And I began to notice this trend once again with COVID. And then I went back and done more research. Like polio, like the shit that happened back then, they tried to repeat here with a new pandemic, a huge depression, and a world war. They were trying to repeat those three things. And if they got away with that shit, we would have been under a new world government right now. That's how close we were. That's why I was so damn desperate to get people to understand what it was I was talking about. And now we got this shit.
Big Pharma has devolved into nothing more than a government-enabled cartel. CHD informs the reader that measles vaccines carries risks, but only for the vaccinee and his or her family. Big Pharma is free of virtually all legal liability for damages from the vaccine's harms. Measles outbreaks have been fabricated to create fear that in turn forces government officials to do something. They then inflict unnecessary and risky vaccines on millions of children for the sole purpose of fattening industry profits. End quote. Written by RFK Jr. For clarity, that was published in 2021. So less than 5 years ago. Okay. Well, 24 hours ago, he did a magic 180 pivot. First, he's saying they create the emergency to get you scared, so you roll up your sleeves. 24 hours ago, this is what's happening on Secretary Kennedy. He's different from RFK Jr. This is now Secretary Kennedy on X. Look at this. Check out the third paragraph here. He writes, in early March, I deployed a CDC team to bolster. I thought we were sending him, by the way, to like dismantle.
Secretary Kennedy. Who is this? So it says RF Kennedy Jr. commentary only. At RFK Jr. official. So who is Secretary Kennedy? Here it is. So this account is verified because it's an affiliate of EXO. What the fuck? Our nation. So becomes the first state to ban fluoride in public drinking water. Hey, Utah just banned fluoride, which is good. So a ban on dyes and chemical additives in public school meals, a ban on purchasing soda using SNAP benefits. Well, shit. So you're not even allowed to buy soda with food stamps now. All right. They're trying to make the water safe again. That's what they're discussing. So that's what he's doing, but I'm not seeing any people are mad about the ban on fluoride. Where's his vaccine commentary? Okay, it came to the Gaines country, Texas today to convert Daisy. Give me a second. Support Texas health officials. HSS agencies can better partner with the control of the measles outbreak, which as of today, there are 642 confirmed cases of measles across 22 to 499 of those in Texas. Early March, I deployed a CDC team. Damn, MMR vaccines. I said mRNA. Forgive me for that. I fucked it up. It was MMR. Still. People are calling them out on this. One of the most effective ways to cause autism, as witnessed. Yeah. So people are hating this shit, which is good. This is good. Glad to see that MAGA is not a bunch of fucking drones that just follow whatever the fuck they want to follow. This is not good at all. So this is what I'm gonna say. If your politicians, now we have Trump and these guys, really Trump isn't doing anything wrong. I haven't found anything on Trump. Cash Patel is on the line right now, saying with Pam Bondi. But if RFK is as compromised as I'm seeing right now, and as it's sounded based on what Candace Owens is talking about, there needs to be some pushback. How is it that on one end you're getting fluoride out the water, you're forcing companies to not use certain chemicals and certain dyes in their food, etc. You're even banning the purchase of soda on food stamps, but you're promoting MMR vaccines. There needs to be pushback about that shit. And the American people have the ability to give that. So if this is the official page, who the fuck is this? So this account is verified, but the other one is verified because it's connected to the government. So who's running this page? Bro, this shit is iffy for real. This must be the official. Wait, what? Could probably welcome Dr. Marty Carey as US FDA Commissioner and Dr. J as NIH Director. I need to look into who these people are. I don't know these people. Who are these doctors? Professional medicine, economics, and health. University, left this position. I'm gonna have to study this person. Because if you really look into health, etc., you'll realize that a lot of this shit, the reason why we have so many health issues is simply because of the food we're eating. I don't want to see shit about vaccines from this person. I'm dead ass. If he's promoting vaccination, I don't want to deal with him. Like, for real. I've said this previously on this page. I promote the carnivore diet. Cut all carbs, cut all sugar. I'm actually about to make me a couple steaks after this fucking video. This is off topic, but on topic at the same time. Remember when I was discussing a pandemic? That shit got nipped in the bud early. They were discussing bird flu. But ironically, the only things that were being recalled when dealing with the bird flu were eggs and poultry and beef, ironically. They were the only things getting affected by bird flu, which is why all of the eggs, etc., were hiking in prices. It's because they were fabricating the prices and they were trying to fuck up your food supply. That's what it was. And they were using a mock pandemic to fucking do the shit. But now the price of eggs are going down. So we'll continue to see what the fuck happens. I'll just say that. As far as the tariffs go, stop panicking, hold the line, keep your eye on RFK. Because if I see some new bills or some new laws in Congress discussing anti-Semitism and the promotion of the cabal in Israel, or anything dealing with these vaccines and shit, we got a huge problem on our hands. And I urge you to contact President Trump and grill him on this shit, for real. Because these are the people that we voted in the office to make America better and to put a stop on all this bullshit. Our markets have been used against us. Our own money has been used against us. We can't have more moles or more defectives in the camp. We can't have that shit. And as for Kash Patel, I'm giving him a year. Not even a year. At the end of this year, if I don't see any arrests, I'm going to have a problem. That's it. It's just an update. I'll probably be back with another one. Maybe not. If I see something new today, I'll let y'all know. Peace.